There's a key fundamental that we come from, and that's a position of contribution. We don't sell property. This is not, we are the supplier of education. We're the supplier of information. We are the supplier of transformation. People who are coming, who want to make a change or in transition in their lives, who want to make a change, end up in a better location, are going to need support.
Yeah.
And DIYing this has the trial and error approach, which could be very costly. The I don't know, deer in the headlights, circle spinning, where do I start model, and therefore don't start. Well, there is, if you could tap into a wisdom, if it works out, that's the path you want to go.
Welcome to Get Invested on the Property Hub podcast channel, the leading weekly show for Australians who want to learn how to unlock their full self, health and wealth potential. I'm your host, Bushy Martin, and each week I go deep with the best investors, experts, leaders and founders to find out what it takes to break free from the grind, discover freedom and to live by design. Subscribe now and join me and get invested in the life that you really want. Let's get started. Hi freedom fighters. Let's start with a quick show of hands. Have you ever trusted a glowing property pitch only to discover the numbers tell a very different story? If you lie awake wondering which expert actually deserves your attention and your hard-earned cash, and if someone offered you a short circuit to the trial and error pain track that most investors travel, would you take the shortcut or push on alone? If those questions sting, good, because today's chat is both the soothing antiseptic and the surgical scalpel. But before we get back into it, let's recount why and how and where we've journeyed so far. In episode 1, Brendan smashed the ready, fire, aim myth and mapped the 15-year mindset. In part 2, we drilled into sustainable success and the power of a written vision. Then in episode 3, it was all about strategy first, matching tactics to timeline, skill set and cash. In part 4, we did a deep data dive, supply, demand, median price, and that sneaky listening to sales ratio. So now you know why you invest, what a tailored strategy looks like, and where to hunt for tomorrow's hotspots. So where we pick up the convo in this fifth and final installment is to tackle two showstoppers. Who can you trust to guide you, and what does the road ahead really look like? Boom, bust, or boring? So in today's chat, Brendan reveals the contribution-first DNA of results mentoring and why they refuse to sell property built on a 20-year track record that dwarfs the latest social media spruiker. We do a candid, no-spin read on prevailing market conditions, from boomtown hangovers to the macro wild cards heading our way. We reveal why the next decade will reward active, skilled investors and quietly punish the hidden hope crowd. But before we start, if you've enjoyed the series so far and you're hungry for more, just tap the links in the show notes and grab Brendan's brand new Real Estate Success Community app. It's free, and it's where top mentors, investors, developers and renovators trade off-market leads, their live events and some great case studies. So join us now. Now grab your coffee, open your notes and lean in, because we're about to turn information overload into decisive, confident action. So let's get invested again. Look, as anyone listening in would be, their heads are probably spinning with the amount of information that they need to get their heads around. And given we're in a really highly competitive and to some degree almost over-serviced world in property these days, because every man and his dog has and their kids and wife have jumped on the bandwagon in recent times. Why would investors consider using results mentoring and property predictions over others, just to bring that to a head?
Sure. There's a key fundamental that we come from, and that's a position of contribution. We don't sell property. This is not, we are the supplier of education. We're the supplier of information. We are the supplier of transformation. People who are coming, who want to make a change or in transition in their lives, who want to make a change, end up in a better location, are going to need support.
Yeah.
And DIYing this has the trial and error approach, which could be very costly. The I don't know, deer in the headlights, circle spinning, where do I start model, and therefore don't start. Well, there is, if you could tap into a wisdom and an ability to access and be in such a way that that wisdom can be easily imparted. You know, there's the training requirement, and the ability to train is a unique skill, is a skill that carries a lot of value in the ability to be able to absorb the information. People can present a bit if it's presented poorly. I've been there and done that. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Anyway, upshot, if it works out that's the path you want to go, and you have a clear goal, then there's a marriage there that exists in the supply of data, the supply of forecasting information, the ability to buy in areas that are going to serve well, plus the ability to understand the strategy you're getting into relative to the goals that you want to make, and the evolution of the skills and the numbers needed in order to make profit from any project that you take on. There is a marriage that is comprehensive in the supply of information and support. And that's what we have spent 2 decades building. And it's what we're delivering, and we do so consistently. And people change their lives. The outcome are extraordinary on the lifestyle of people who undertake property investing through the results mentoring program.
Yeah, and I've seen it, so I can absolutely validate that. And anyone who even survives in business for 20 years, you're up there with the Apples and the Googles of the world, because not many people will even get close to that longevity. So that speaks volumes in itself. The obvious question, I'm sort of going to bring this to a close on in relation to the exercise, and again, avoiding the market-making behaviour that we just touched on before. Given your active involvement in reading the market, what is your read on current property conditions? And I'm talking short to medium term here, and for a growth investor, because most investors are looking for growth. Where and what do you think are the best opportunities in that?
Oh, mate, go on, put me on the spot.
I'm going to put you, and you don't need to name locations, because that is dangerous, because it will tend to influence what happens, and I don't want to be part of that. Okay. Stepping back from that?
Stepping back from that. Oh, great. My read on the broader market is that, and this is a very big conversation, but my read on the broader market is that the heat will continue to come out of Brisbane, Adelaide, and ultimately Perth. Not immediately out of Perth, but ultimately out of Perth.
Yep.
I reckon there's maybe, and again, there's somewhere between 12 and 24 months before it starts to really come back.
Yep.
There will be a boost when a boost of enthusiasm and encouragement when the interest rates come down. Well, and maybe 2 interest rate drops, but it depends entirely on the macro influence of Trump. And the potential trade wars that might exist between Trump and China.
Totally.
And it also depends on again, you're talking midterm. We're 25 shortly. We've got a 29 Taiwan deadline. That is going to be an influential hot topic that's on our doorstep. I think that will play out. You've got wars in the Middle East. You've got a war in Ukraine. There is a lot of volatility. You've got an anger that exists because people have done it hard during the recent inflationary period where the world's trying to get inflations back into order. They've had to restrict, and that's put more pressure on limited resource. So we've got an emotional state right now globally that is fractured and angry, which is bringing out fractured and angry conversations in a domestic and international space, and inflames the violence and the walls. So we got that sort of environment we're contending with. My read, we will turn the corner on this inflationary period, and we'll get into a flatter. There'll be a period of where some governments have gone hard on inflation, and they'll need to go into dropping interest rates to warm it back up again. We've elected for a not that model. We've elected for a let's middle ground our inflation, and let's middle ground the slow decline so that we don't have to overshoot the mark and be too bitter on the economy. And I think that's actually working right now. There will be a plateauing out. So what impact will all of that have on property prices? Right. From a macro perspective, again, I go into each of the states. So for each of the states, you've got Brisbane is in growth right now, already cooling. Adelaide in growth right now, already cooling. Perth in growth right now, not so much. You've got it'll be more cooling in Brisbane, more cooling in Adelaide, and it will probably about 12, 24 months, maybe 24 and a half months, or 20 and 30 odd, you will get a plateauing in. My read is that sometime around 27, 28, you're going to get an experience where the broad Australian environment will be relatively flat. We will need to deal with some tumultuous times relative to the globe and what's occurring. There'll be an anxiety around that from consumer sentiment and business sentiment. At the moment, we're in a wave of growth around business opportunities. You're seeing massive profits being put out into the larger organizations. You're going to soon start to see on the back of that and solid business sentiment. You're soon going to start to see an encouragement of new businesses coming onto the ASX. You're going to see smaller businesses starting up. It's going to increase the employment activity. But that will also come to an end, and there'll be a phase where we go back into a consolidating cash environment. Where people will go buy bonds, or they'll put it into term deposits, or they'll stick it under their bed or buy gold. So there'll come a time when that's probably going to occur. And I'd say that's again 2.5 years. I'm speculating here because you've asked for a high level.
Totally.
So broadly, I'd say then we're potentially in for a flat period of around about 5 to 7 years is what I'm putting forward post that. So my read is early 30s, you're going to see a broadly flatter market gut feel. And that's where add value projects are likely to come to the fore, because you'll get to an environment where at that point you'll be post-pandemic fluctuations, all of the ups and downs as a result of the pandemic, the overstimulation, the understimulation will plateau out. And in about 2 years' time, when you've got a new world order around rents, at the moment the rental crisis is causing a significant impact. And what you're seeing is a lot of policy around trying to manage that while attempting to recoup funds for the overspend. And we're seeing a consequence of that for investors, particularly in Victoria. We're seeing different incentive models in Queensland. So we're seeing a lot of change right now. It is really volatile, but that volatility will stay for a period, but it will equalize, and there will be a new world order of balance in rental markets and in sales volumes and listings. And then you'll see a plateau there while we all breathe and attempt to recover from the decade that was. Yep. And then in that time, that's when astute, smart, active property investors will be working on profit declarations and knowledge before buying, to be able to buy well, do developments and sell for a profit to build growth in that flat market. So that would be my middle, slightly long-term forecast.
Well, I think you've beautifully encapsulated that. And I think the key word that I picked up on what you mentioned there was active investors, because I 100% agree with you. I think we're seeing a bit of a softening, and that softening will continue. It'll eventually plateau out about. We're going to continue to see a lot of locational variation. If the Trumponomics tariff China slow down, that'll flow through into WA with resources and regional Queensland to some degree. So I think it'll have those area impacts. But I think for anyone listening in, the need to get more active and more accurate with what you're doing rather than just hit and hope is definitely going to be a more important play to build your skills, knowledge, and experience in. So I love that.
Awesome. Let us both, though, disclaim for the moment.
100 big
this
disclaimer.
This is a momentary conversation relative to data we have available today. That is not something you should take as a truth and then go and make investing decisions on. Yeah, we just disclaim that it is a series of educated opinions put forward as a representation of where the market might be heading. And I encourage you to take it for what it is. And the answer to doing your own investing well is to do your own due diligence on the ground and the properties you're looking to buy relative to the goals that you're looking to achieve.
100%. And as I always say, I think this is probably a Steve McKnightism, but you create your own economy in property. Yes, take on board what's happening at the general level, but the more active you are, the more control you have, the more likely you are to do well with property. If you're relying on everything and everyone else to do it for you, then you're at the mercy of the constantly changing dynamics in property. And you and I and no one else is smart enough to be able to guarantee that with any certainty whatsoever. Yes, we can get some approximations, and it's worth at least putting them into the mix as far as that goes. But I often say, Brendan, because I hate making predictions because 99% of them are wrong, and I often say there's as many dynamic variables and combinations in property as there are combinations in a Rubik's Cube, and that's 43 quintillion. So it's 43 with 18 zeros after it. So we need to put that in the context of what we've just spoken about. But be that as it may, I would rather listen to that from you, from most people, as opposed to other people that are taking a stab in the dark. So I think it's still a good share. Let's jump into ambush round 2, Brendan, where I give you the blindfold and the cigarette, and kicking that off. What's your favourite quote and why?
As a couple, can I throw a couple out?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. One I mentioned earlier: trust no one, assume nothing, check everything, and get it in writing. Yep. I think that. So you got to recognize, I come from a risk mitigation perspective. Yeah. So these quotes are all centered around risk mitigation. Yeah. There will people you will grow to trust, and they've proven themselves to be trustworthy. I get that. Yeah. But from a risk mitigation perspective, yeah, trust no one. Yeah. Trust no one. Assume nothing. Check everything. And if you think that you're clear on it, then check your assumptions, because there's likely an assumption in there somewhere that you didn't know that you made. Yeah. And check everything, get it in writing. Okay, great.
Love it.
Another one. Cynically, no good deed goes unpunished. Now that's a harsh one. No good deed goes unpunished. So for example, if some guy comes up and says, "Hey mate, can you help me move this weekend?" and is a good friend, and you say yes, you're likely to twist your ankle. You would there will be some penalty. You'll get a parking ticket. There'll be some penalty that occurs where you pay a price bigger than you expected to. Yeah. So the model here is, if someone asks you to do a favor, and recognize that the depth of the favor will always exceed the request and your perception of that request, and be prepared to pay a price that's higher. That's all. Another one that I love is the airplane one. Beautiful. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's an emergency, a mask will drop down first. Drop down. Fit your own mask before helping others. Yeah. The essence of that statement is, you're useless to anybody dead. So make sure that your wealth is sorted. Make sure your life is sorted. Make sure your goals are on your way. And then start to try and educate, support, or help others by all means. But if you're listening to somebody who has not done that for themselves and not got their own act together, then they're attempting to fit your mask first on flawed information. And my encouragement is just go back to the quote number 1: trust no one, assume nothing, check everything, and get it in writing. And if there's one more, if I throw one more out there, I think the serenity prayer is ideal. Yeah. This is key. People lament the past. People lament poor decisions. People just regret. People get angry about stuff. One of the, I'll get to it in a sec, but one of the things that most pushes my buttons is, you know what? They should fix that. Like, yeah, it is one of the most pointless things to have ever said. They should fix that. Goes back to Give me the serenity to accept what I cannot change. Yeah. They should fix that. If I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to engage in it. You know, it's pointless me spending emotional energy going, yeah, they should. And it's like, I'm not engaged. Yeah, no, I choose not to be. So give me the serenity to accept that which I cannot change. The courage to change what I can. You know what? They should, and I will, and I'm going to take action to fix it. Yeah, I've got some authority and power here that I will put to this and I will fix it. Yep. But if I haven't and I don't want to pursue that, yeah, thanks for sharing. I think I'm going to go and talk to someone else now. So give me the courage to change what I can and the wisdom to know the difference, because therein lies the key. Yeah. There are things that if you lament the things that have occurred in the past, oh, I wish I hadn't have said this to my ex-girlfriend, she wouldn't have left me. If you're in that place, sorry, too late, too bad, so sad, move on. You know, it's a harsh thing to say, but you can't change that.
100%.
If you're going to, and you're going to take control, then say, I can change that, and then do something about it. Yeah. But if you've tried and failed, then call it. Yeah. So you know what I'm coming from, yeah?
Beautifully said. I mean, it's on a similar take. There's so much doom scrolling that's done now in social media and mainstream media and newspapers and all the rest of it. I stopped reading the newspaper. I think the last newspaper I actually read was back in about 1998. And I spend no time. The term I like to use is selective ignorance is bliss, because if I can't influence it and if I can't do anything about it, why would I waste my time rubbing my nose in it? It's just pointless.
The government should do something about that.
Exactly. It's all the government's fault.
It's all the government's fault. The government should do something about that. Really? Okay, cool. When are you running?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
That's how I respond. And people say the government should do something. Good. When are you running?
Yeah. I love it, Brendan. I want to jump to the literary field for a minute. On top of your book, what's the top book that you'd recommend we read and why?
There are two that have influenced me that I've enjoyed most. Yeah.
Yeah.
One is called. This is a Christian book. So for those who are all can't do that, just hop off that bandwagon and step onto the possibilities wagon for the moment and read it for what it is. It's a book called The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson. And it's a parable about the hero's story. Right. And it is just brilliant because it is written in such a way that it applies to any journey, anything anybody wants to take on, and the A to B channel, A to B path. Yeah.
Yep.
And the typical things that get in your way and the surprises that you don't expect that will whack you about the head. And I read that book and I thought, it is so true because it's written in a way that I can relate to it in my life on a journey that I'm on.
Yeah.
My encouragement, get The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson and read it as an entertaining light read, but from a perspective of your own journey. Yep. Cool.
Love it. I'm gonna download that on the Kindle tonight. I haven't read that one, so I'm definitely going to.
You'll be entertained by it, but more than anything, Bushy, you will see that there is a moment in it where you go, "That happened to me."
Yeah.
And you'll identify with it.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right. Like the next one, the one that I have really enjoyed, Brief Answers to the Big Questions by Stephen Hawking. It was the last book he wrote before he died. And it is written in layman's terms, sufficiently enough that those who are not skilled in the science of time can read it and get it. And it is just a brilliant book around the current set of big questions that society is facing. And if you have that perspective with you, that starts to play out in the goals that you want to achieve and the way you want to live a life. And I found that most enjoyable, most powerful.
That would tune into your 15-year-old self, I reckon, based on what you've shared with us.
Yep. Thanks. Brilliant. Yeah.
I love
perfect correlation.
Hey, if I gave you $50 million in cold hard cash in a big suitcase right here, right now, what would you invest it in or spend it on, and why?
I buy commercial properties for future cash flow.
Yeah.
I buy commercial properties.
Yeah.
I'd buy industrial ones and retail ones, but hub locations. So there are community locations called hubs where you get train stations and major infrastructure being invested by council. They're the ones you'd want to buy into because they're the ones that are going to be the most sustainable and most desirable for retail outlets and retailers. And they're the ones that have the least vacancy. Admittedly, they don't have a high level of gross yield in them, but that doesn't matter because over time it'll go up and the yield will go up and you're not paying into the outgoings. So retail outlets in those environments and industrial properties for the purpose of those businesses that recognize that they can do it all online now. They don't need a shop front, and based on all product distribution straight from an industrial site, they are the next wave of what's likely to occur or is currently underway in the supply of goods. So if you get something that's small for a small business, that would serve you well for the base business build. That's probably what I'd spend it on.
Yeah. Great suggestions for pretty obvious reasons there, actually. Yeah. Now, last one, if you could wave a magic wand and change anything, what would you change about property investment?
Yeah, hard. Because it's so self-determinant. Yeah, it's so self-determinant about the outcome that you get from it. Anything I say about my life is not going to relate to other people. But if I was to put something out there, I'd say regulate it. Now, most people will go, "Oh, what? No, we love the freedom. We want to be." I'd say regulate it because with the regulation comes a license or an authority to be able to speak to it. To be able to educate in it, and it removes a lot of the vulnerability that people can experience from an unregulated environment.
Yeah,
and it takes out a lot of the sharks. So I would suggest to regulate it.
Yeah, let's be specific about what you mean there, because I think, and again, I'm guessing what you're suggesting, but what you're meaning is that the likes of buyers agents and others are regulated so that the advice that they give is actually they're qualified.
I'm also talking about educators. There are a number of people who spin crap and make money off the basis of come and listen to my story, and it misdirects people's lives as they take that information. Yeah, I'm talking pretty much across the board.
Yeah, I love it. It would sort of out. It would get the separate the sheep from the goats when it comes to the quality. There's absolutely no question. I mean, I've been very supportive of Pippa and Eva and other groups that are trying to shake the tree and get the rubbish out. 100% needs to come, because sadly, the better something looks, the more rogues want to get involved in it, and the harder it is for good folks to actually see the difference. So great suggestion. Final question, mate. If I ask you to get invested, what does it mean to you?
Get invested by definition is fair question. What does it mean to me? What it means to me is you need to invest in self. You need to be invested into your own life. You need to be invested into your own journey. You need to be invested into the ambition and desire of the outcome that you want on your life. I go back to my 15-year self. What am I doing on this planet? What can I do on this planet? What do I want to get out of my time on this planet? What do I want to contribute in my time? My time on this planet is finite. Get invested in self such that you deliver a life that is fulfilled for you. For you. There's no right or wrong with it. There's no correct path to take. It is just, what is it that you want? What are you called to do? What are the things that inspire you, bring you joy, that you can share the joy of to others with? What is it that it's just get invested in your life? Don't be a passenger and rely on the words and hope and prayer of others. You're in control here. This is your time on the planet. Nobody cares about your life like you do. Don't hand over the control to other people.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better. I had a really good summary. Look, we've only really scratched the surface, and I feel like I could talk you days, Brendan. So I'm going to make sure we get you back on the show to dive into specific topics of interest. But for those of us like myself who have really resonated with your message, how can we find out more and get further involved with you?
Sure. Go to resultsmentoring.com/know-how. That will get you your free report. So you'll get a free property predictions report for the top 10 suburbs. You can reach me at resultsmentoring.com. Just register and you'll get access. Just go to contact us on resultsmentoring.com. You'll get me. Property predictions, same thing again. Go to contact us on propertypredictions.com.au if you want to. And if you want to reach out, talk about reports, by all means. If you've got any questions, by all means, reach out. But that's how you can get in touch with me. If you want to talk about a prediction for where you're at, or get into I don't know where to go next to buy, then by all means, buy one of the reports there. But my encouragement, if you've got a commitment to an outcome of your life that you're making no ground on, or treading water on, or nervous about how you're going to get started on, or anxious around the errors that you could make along the way, then reach out, resultsmentoring.com, and start a conversation. Also, just to add to that, the top 10 suburb report that we've got on resultsmentoring.com/know-how also has a strategic mentoring conversation attached to it.
Right.
So if you subsequently register for that, you can have a one-on-one conversation with a results mentor, obviously trained, decades of experience, one-on-one mentoring conversations with a property investing mentor from Results Mentoring about where you're at, what you're up to, what you want to achieve, and potentially just throw some light on the path that you're on, so that you avoid the next pothole, because those potholes hurt. They flatten tires. The encouragement is in the take control, in the get invested model, get invested in self and the outcome that you want. My encouragement, really, reach out and have a conversation with someone who knows what they're talking about, and there's no consequence. There's no obligation. Just reach out and have a conversation. See what we can do, see what you can do.
Yeah, I love it. We'll have all of that in the show notes. And again, I just want to reinforce that it's a really good opportunity, not only to grab a free top 10 suburb report, but also as a consequence of doing that, to be able to have that conversation with one of the results mentoring team to really explore where you're at and where you can go, really relying on someone who's done it, been there, and can really give you some unbiased, objective and transparent views rather than trying to sell you something. So really much encourage you to do that. So Brendan, I will get you back on. I'm really energized by the conversation we've had today. It's so refreshing to talk to someone who has views that are untainted by this need to have a vested interest drive what you're saying and how you're doing it. So look, really want to thank you again for inspiring, educating and mentoring us, even in the time we spent together on the benefits of crafting that, really specific investment strategy matched to our personal needs and the resulting property delivery tactics that need to flow, along with the very clear advantages of accurate and reliable property predictions that we've spoken about. So for those that have listened, that want to talk about it more, jump on board with us on the Property Hub Collective Facebook page, where we can keep talking about issues of interest. But I just want to thank you for all that. This really brings a great conversation to an end of another really good series of episodes. So thanks for getting invested, and let's keep the conversation going, Brendan.
Pleasure. Thanks, Bushy. Appreciate it greatly, man.
Thanks for tuning in to Get Invested on the Property Hub podcast channel, your home for property investment insights and inspiration. Make sure you subscribe to Property Hub for free. Get your weekly dose of Get Invested inspiration, along with every episode of Realty Talk, Australia's top online property show for red-hot property investing news and insights direct from industry leaders and influencers. And finally, I'll see you next time.